Happy New Year, crypto! PulseX's Inkanites, PulseXicanas. PulseXicanas. I don't think I've ever said that word before. Feels good. It feels right. I like it. Welcome back to the show. Got a few bangers this week. Today could be a banger. Never know. Got the one and only Zenith back on the show. This time, we're going to talk about his favorite colors, pets he has as a kid, computer desktop backgrounds, just the usual, all that kind of stuff. Maybe get into crypto, maybe for just a little tiny bit, maybe talk about 2024, recap, predictions of sorts. Are we going to the moon? Will Elon Musk, make us an interplanetary species? We don't know, but we can speculate. So hopefully it'll be a good show. Get your question in the chat. We'll get to it, and then hopefully have a lot of fun. Without further ado, welcome back to the show in casual wear, Zenith.
Good to see you, Max, as always. And there was I know it was half joking as the intro questions there, but there's a weird throughput for the actual answer to all those, which is that growing up, I did have a cat, loved him very much, until unfortunately one morning I discovered that a fox got to him in the night, and I found a tail and a hind leg in the front yard. Shit. And then throughout college, I was at the Coast Guard Academy, which, by the way, is voted the #2 most miserable student populace. And when I was there, instead of conforming and buying the generic blue folder for everything, I went to Target and I got a folder with a bunch of like kittens on it. Then I was like, I will never forget that this is not mine. And then people were like, oh yeah, you're the guy with the cats folder. And then your back screen is also a slideshow of funny cat memes too. So I guess that's me.
Cats are cool. Cats are cool.
I like them a lot.
Wow.
I don't have one now, unfortunately, but.
Oh man, that's just getting the animal memories and stuff now. There's a lot of great, some people are dog people, some people are cat people, some people think they're dog people, turn into cat people. Some people, the inverse is often true as well. So throughout life, you have several friends, some human, some animal, and you just try to have the best times you can with them. But damn, foxes. Another reason to not like MetaMask, right? There we go.
Must be a Rabby wallet guy. Look
That's the Rabby. What we got? You got internet money. Actually, I got some. I was prepping for the security stream with Kong on Friday, and all these. As if I'm prepping for a stream ahead of time, all these ideas start coming. I'll just write them down, add them to a doc, kind of like flesh them out. Use AI to be like, hey, is this sound what are the holes in this? Is this accurate? Like, what are the other ways of looking at this? All that stuff. And one of the things was about using different wallets, the pros and cons, RPC servers, using Infura versus using another one that's not Infura versus running your own node. Anyways, you reminded me of that when you started bringing up the wallets. But we'll get on that in the show unless you specifically bring it up and talk about it. But got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and got a chat that I'm going to stop ignoring right now. Oi, Red Squirrel, how's it going? Crypto, you changed your avatar. It used to be the maximum muscles one. This one's fine as well. It's very fun, very whimsical, very interesting. Happy New Year to you as well. She4, welcome. How's it going? Alex asks, why can't I super chat RH? That is, I explained in the chat, no monetization. However, I do accept likes, subscribes, all that stuff if you feel inclined. But yeah, appreciate that. Fox Mulder, Zenith is greater than RCA. Who's RCA?
I don't know what that one is either. Fox, if you can give us a description of that, I would appreciate it. But regardless, thank you.
It wouldn't be a stream without getting a VPN joke in there from Red Squirrel. Oh, another thing we're going to talk about on Friday. You get to hear my VPN commentary, which I don't think anyone understands hardly, but I do have an opinion on it.
We got to get you a sponsorship deal with either ExpressVPN or NordVPN.
I think the NordVPN's all the hotness right now. Express that and Honey. Honey is the creator sponsor hotness right now, I believe.
I thought that one has had a big expose or whatever.
Yeah, that's the joke. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I never watched the big YouTuber stuff, but I saw Marcus Brownlee was like, he was talking about trying to frame the conversation around, all the YouTubers got tricked or whatever about it. So I was watching before the stream. I was watching that, so it came to mind immediately. Fox Monitor, Zenith. Yeah, you're talking about the brands. That's right.
Two defunct TV brands.
Shout out to Zenith. Those were the big the wooden ones. They had like the big wood panels and like they were very well designed, I think.
Oh, was that like back in the day where they actually had the little knob to change channels?
Like a whole thing you would like roll around the deal. I think maybe your grandparents and stuff had them and all that too. I remember Zenith being that as well. I'm sure they had some modern versions before. Apparently, they were defunct. Defunct means like not used anymore, out of business for everyone in the chat who's not familiar with that word, which is very uncommon outside of computers. I gotta say, defunct seems very technical to me. Yeah, old school TVs, and then RCA. Yeah, that was the. This makes me think of the Coca-Cola brand, the what is it, Royal Crown. Makes me think of RC. I see RCA, which is another
cola, baby.
Shout out to RC Cola. If you're not a sponsor of the show, you can't be. However, that would be I could see. I wonder if anyone's sponsored by RC. I wonder if they're doing into the creators, all that stuff. Reminds me, if you ever watch Tosh Point, not Tosh Point now, but he has the Tosh Show on YouTube. You see Tosh doing the show.
Is it a podcast? I've seen clips of it. Never watched the actual thing.
It's pretty good. He does like a 40 minute interview for people, and it's just hilarious. A lot of them. He'll just interview, my wife's OB, or my favorite runner person, or whatever. And anyways, he's like, every time I thought he was joking at first, but he'll be like, there'll be some product mention, and he'll say, you know what, Nike, if you're not a sponsor of the show, you should be like this, that kind of stuff. And then he's actually started getting sponsors and ads. I was like, oh crap, I thought you were just joking. Oh, how was I to know? So anyways, Red Squirrel has more TV commentary. My first TV was black and white. Had a dial to tune in the stations.
You might be dating yourself there, my friend, but still, very interesting stuff.
That's I'm trying to think, black and white TVs. I can't, again, maybe grandmother, a lot of people hang out with older people that have stuff, and they don't like stuff to change. And just like I refuse to use VPNs most of the time. Maybe a lot of people refuse to upgrade to color television. It used to be a thing it could be a movement on that. I'm not sure. Anyways, Surf and Coin. I'm animal people. I love my animals. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Shout out to animals. You guys are pretty cool. Most of you, the ones that aren't, murdering other animals. It's nature. I get it, but I prefer not to see it or know that it happened to people's pets. I'll say that. Still holding strong, Cody Polly, 86. Is that a good thing to do? Holding strong, Zenith.
Absolutely. The people that, I think it's the Richard Hart quote, the people that win are the people that are close to founders, or people that hodl. So always hodl, baby. But
founders, holders, exchanges, I believe. There's two different variations of that quote. I feel like I've talked about this before, but it was holders, founders, exchanges, the one I remember. But other people seem to remember holders, founders, and something else. Maybe people close. Was it just sub founders? I don't know. There's another word in there, but yeah, so many RH quotes. Founder or holders.
There you go.
Founders or holders. Yeah, chat. If you know the other one, I feel like there's another version of this. Let me know in the chat. I'm not a granddad. Yeah, but I was a late starter. You know what? It's kind of like these days. If you don't have a TV and you're going to wait around till TV, something better comes along, like without ads. Chat YouTube Premium, by the way, makes YouTube watchable. Amazing. I'm glad that exists. Oh, Zenith, you have no opinion? What's your opinion?
I don't want to give those bloodsuckers 1 cent of my money.
Oh, you're one of those people who don't pay for anything?
I don't pay for YouTube.
Do you like to be the product?
They don't deserve it.
I bet you don't pay for email either.
No.
She's like, let me think about that. Hold on. Who does paying for email?
I can't remember the last time someone asked me to pay for an email service.
The pros and cons. I think Proton Mail has a paid tier. There's also with Google, there's also, you can pay for storage, which I find if you use it for long enough and you exchange files that are big enough, at least I know everything's going to Google Drive these days, which I believe still counts against the quota. I think that's the thing these days. It's changed so many times over the years, but I can see certain circumstances, but I can't do YouTube without YouTube Red. It used to be YouTube Red, by the way. Shout out to Red Squirrel. Now it's YouTube Premium. Yeah. And Brave browser block. So Brave is free. And that's actually a game changer on mobile. It blocks a lot of the ads and stuff too. Cody Paula needs positivity. Still holding strong. I know yesterday I did a stream and some comments around, basically, it's been like the sentiment was around. It's been a hard past couple of years or so. Great segue into We're gonna get into Zenith and his explaining his Surf Shack shirt here in a moment. But 2024, maybe a brief recap. We'll go into a little bit specifics afterwards. But 2023, I feel like, what was the worst year? 2023. I feel like 2023 sucked the most in the last few years.
It was
other
rough.
than PulseChain launch.
Other than that, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, it's finally time for us to be rich again. And it was like, no. The market says
22
no.
22 was also pretty bad, to be honest.
22, I felt like 22, it hadn't fully sunk in yet. It was kind of like, there was this like, oh, things are going down, but PulseChain's going to launch. It's going to launch mid-May. And then, we had things up and down, different events happening. But then 2023 was like, oh man, how does it get any worse than this? And was that SEC was like, hold my beer. And then, I feel like 2023, you could have been better. But 2022, like I said, it was kind of those 2 years. And then, but also again, this is 2024 recap. What about 2024 has been positive for you, made you optimistic, and what has been like, God, I just keep getting punched in the face over and over and over. Please stop pushing my face into this fist. Shout out to Nuclear Herbs. That was a great tweet on the on that thing. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I actually have some of his tweets pulled up if we want to talk about him today. He's a friend and a mentor, and I'm happy to call him both.
He's awesome. Yes, definitely.
For sure. But 2024, all right, what was good about 2024? I think the ETFs getting approved to kind of take crypto to the next step. That was a big one for sure. On top of that, PulseChain also had a fantastic pump when we went into the March for PulseChain Tour Vegas. Also a phenomenal event in and of itself. Shout out to everybody that went. I had an absolute blast. I'm going again in this March, and I'm actually, I think I might be on the hook to be a speaker again for a legal panel with Nuclear Herbs at some point.
We're running it back. I like it.
Do it again, absolutely. But then after that, I think there was a lot of winning when it came to the Richard Hart stuff. I think unfortunately, we did close the year because Jerome Powell and Europe decided to ruin Christmas with both updating inflation numbers for 2025 and then Interpol deciding to add Richard Hart to the most wanted list. But there is one theory that I've heard bounce around this year in particular, which is that it's the revision of their any press is good press, and it's that any fame is good fame, whether it's fame or infamy. And I think that there are multiple examples of that, including the good old Haley Welch Hawk Tua stuff going on. But outside of that, we did technically get PulseChain listed on a centralized exchange. I know a lot of people don't care about it or actually have been asking not to have that, but it was a note that happened. And
then it was removed.
And then it was removed, yeah. But I still call it a positive.
Love it.
Because it happened, and then someone did something else, and now we have another hill to go fight on.
I will say on that, there was people saying that was one of the easiest. I thought I heard some comments about it being like an easy way to onboard people. Like those people actually using it apparently and using it for onboarding and stuff. So it's like everyone's like, oh, centralized exchanges, I would never do. A lot of people would do that, and that's how they used it to help build the ecosystem. So don't have an open mind for those. Again, you don't have to use them. You don't have to believe in that technology, but a lot of people are using it to bring people in and later teach them about DeFi. I think there's some pros and cons to all those processes.
Definitely. It's also a bit of a personal mantra for me, which has evolved over the years, which is that it's very easy to be a purist on ideologies and ideas and whatever, whether it's DeFi or even your political stuff. But at the end of the day, if the lines that you hold are not a winning game plan, you are actively losing and you are choosing to lose. So, do we wish that centralized exchanges were the only way to get money on? Absolutely not. Is it the best way to do it currently? Yes. To try to deny that and try to tell people to ignore the easiest route, I think you're just hamstringing yourself. Do I wish that we had more people like the OX Coast team? Yeah, those guys are phenomenal. I'm pretty sure they also got back online in 2024 as well. So if we can see more stuff like that, we can get away from the centralized exchange. But until we get away from centralized exchanges, it's the dance partner that we have right now.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, again, one of the reasons I built Go Real DeFi is to make onboarding easier after, in my opinion, it took a step back for new people, if nothing else, when we decentralized everything, which, again, amazing. Nerd to me, loves it. Yeah, do it. Downloadable DeFi, love it. I know that most people don't know what the hell that is. They don't know. They don't want to see crazy, 200 character link in their browser. That'll make them feel safe and like using a new network. They don't want to download exe. They don't want to. Again, that step forward in a lot of different directions, but for onboarding, again, that's why I think having easier links and verifiable gateways and all that stuff for onboarding new people. And just, again, I personally like using myself. I don't like, I think the biggest friction with me is I don't want to click 2 links. That heel is one that I may stand on for a while, at least, if not, it is one of those things I'm like, I don't like this. I don't want this. I want something easy. And talk about proposals too, like hide the page, hide all the technical stuff, and just show like one thing that says go to thing, go to PulseX, go to HEX, go to whatever. And if you say I'm a nerd, click that button, and now you get to see all the stuff and then all that stuff too. But
for sure,
anyways,
I think your point isn't even echoed by the centralized exchanges as they stand. Like if you use Coinbase or Kraken, those are the two that I'm most familiar with. They very clearly have a simple and advanced version. The simple is so that anybody can get in there and use it, and the advanced stuff has all the tools if you want to go look for them, and you technically get a little bit better rate on the conversion stuff. That's the dirty little secret behind it. But the point is that if you have the simplified stuff, it's absolutely going to be an attractor. So, I mean, shoot, I was using Go Real DeFi before we even got hooked up at some point, or if I even knew it was your stuff, just because it was the easiest way to do it. I had been running download all the software and run the executables through the old command prompt script stuff. It's like, I've done that. That's still it's less intuitive than just going to the website, hitting that second click to get over to PulseX, the HEX staking app, or whatever you want. But
yeah,
I think
it's one, and you can
strides.
I think that's an important thing too. Is it's hard for a lot of people to do. Is hold two thoughts simultaneously of saying, okay, I believe in true DeFi. I think this is a step in the direction in the right direction in a lot of ways, and then also showing the downside, showing the cons of launching such a thing, not supporting infrastructure, not having recognizable front ends that are hosted, which are what people are comfortable with. Which again, if you're comfortable with something, you're more likely to keep clicking through it and keep going through the process of whatever it is, whether it's buying it, the asset, or whether it's using the platform, whatever it is. So you can have two things. You can say, okay, I want to support this thing, but also I know this thing appeals to a lot of people who aren't new, and a lot of new people aren't ever going to make it in if they can't get in the first place, which is, again, I kind of relate that back to the centralized exchange situation of, we're totally against Ethereum. We're against centralized exchanges. All these things are bad and slow and old. But it's like, you could, that could be a talking point. That can be something that has some merit, but also don't forget like how, a lot of new people, they don't know any of the things that you know because they're new. And if you want to onboard new people, the definition of that is helping them get in and not making it hard for them to do it. So
True.
that's something I hope that a lot of people can do.
While we're at it, talking about good stuff to get new people into HEX and whatnot, I believe it's hexscout.com. Shout out to those guys. I think they made a great website that is very easy to get people on board. The data is phenomenal. The application is clean. The community is working on all these things. So we're absolutely moving in that direction. Like we can see where we want to be down the road, but we still got to remember that there is a road between here and there that still involves all the stuff that we're trying to get rid of, and eventually it gets phased out.
Fine. We got a couple other things I want to cover in the chat as well. But before we get to it, again, Zenith, where'd you come from? How'd you get here? Why are we lucky to have you?
Oh gosh, I hope you guys are lucky to have me. I hope I'm offering value. That's what I'm trying to do every day. But I'm an old Coast Guard guy myself. I think there's a weird throughput where there's oddly a lot of military folks in the crypto space, finance space, and then also the HEX space for sure. I think you might call it a higher risk profile, a higher risk tolerance profile, if you will. I think that comes with the territory. But there's a weird throughput, which is that a lot of the military folks, you always just get these random like opportunities for like groups to come talk to you and be like, oh yeah, there's like these programs available. Or if you want to learn about how to do your IRA, your retirement stuff, come talk to us. So you just kind of get a lot of financial exposure. And then I was also just trying to get more into investing overall. And then I went through my the classic young adult, young male, try day trading stocks at first and then getting into options and then realizing that you're doing a ton of work with a lot of risk for minimal upside. And then I was just looking at the crypto charts and I was like, the charts don't lie. As long as you can stomach the downsides, the upside potential is ridiculous. And then my claim to infamy was that I'm probably one of the few people that purchased Ethereum in 2020 and lost money on it because I didn't know what I was doing. I remember I bought Ethereum at like $1,900 or something on the Robinhood app, and then it immediately dropped to 1,600. Me, the stock trading guy, was like, wow, this is a massive irrecoverable loss. We got to find a way to figure this out. And then it eventually recovered to 1,900, as it always does. And I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to get out. And then immediately it went to all-time highs in 2021. It's like, wow, really don't know what I'm doing. But eventually I got hooked up with Charlie and Miguel through the Cultivate Crypto's Charlie's channel, the Crypto Mindset course, the CMC. I think I was Q3 of 2022. That was my first one. Learned about everything there, learned about HEX there. And since then, just been trying to get deeper and deeper into the space. Those Charlie and Miguel were actually the ones that encouraged me to start streaming, start doing social media stuff, start doing anything you can. And they've helped me out a good bit. And then I also got picked up by RG3 at some point. He also took me under his wing. And the through line through this whole thing is that I am absolutely blessed by the fantastic people around us. I saw Tam Tam in the chat earlier. She's also one of these people that is absolutely helped me as well, even though she's just a viewer or some person on Twitter. Giving her some phone calls, shoot text messages every once in a while, but she's the best cheerleader for the space. Absolutely helps promote everyone in the best light possible. And to get back to it, it sounds corny and cheesy, but the community really is the best thing going on right now. And it's the best thing that this group has. Because if you want to be a streamer, cool, be a streamer. Go grab a camera or a microphone, doesn't matter how good, doesn't matter how bad. And then start finding things that you're interested in. You can start building expertise or just building awareness and talking about stuff. You'll get going and people are going to find you. They're going to want to work together and we're going to want to keep growing this and building it out. Because we're all going to win together or we're all going to lose together. And I hope that we win.
Winning is better than losing. That's
Absolutely.
True.
Yeah. But
it reminds me of, I was going to say, it reminds me of, you mentioned the community being so valuable. And that's what I think Somi says a lot too, is like the community, how does he say it? The community is the value, or the community is something like that. He says it really in a very good way, but you kind of hit on that too. And I've heard it so many times. He's talked about in-depth his thoughts on HEX and PulseChain community and why it's so valuable and why it's such a, an amazing thing that with the potential and clear, winning aptitude and stuff like that too. But anyways, I just wanted to remind me of that.
Yeah, I guess to finish out the Zenith story though, I went to Vegas for a crypto mindset meetup, which I'm going to the one in January as well. So I'll see all you guys out there. Remember, protect the innocent. We have fun in Vegas, but we don't do anything too crazy, allegedly. We'll see. But when I was out there, I got hooked up with Will Stevenson. I got hooked up with Crypto Boogie. Crypto Sauce was out there too. Shit, there were so many people that I just met. It was a wild ride, and trying to remember everybody is tough. But met Will. We recorded an interview / podcast in a hotel room together. That is still in the deep files somewhere. We'll have to go scrounge up.
The pilot episode.
Exactly. But the whole point was I was trying to get together with the DGen Roundtable guys, because someone told me that they're a good team. They're always looking for folks, and hopped in there and they asked me to be part of the team. And that's been the story ever since. Been rocking since about, October of 2023. I think it was one of my first episodes with them. And that's just been going. And now we've just absolutely exploded. And now we're getting to the point that the DGen Roundtable is a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it also has a little bit of a stigma attached to it with the name DGen. So a few of us have tried launching another side project to attract a more mainstream audience, just to keep scooping up as many people as possible. So that one's called Walk the Block, Navigating Digital Finance. And the goal with that one is try to have the high level conversation that we love to have, but also every episode go back to some of the basics and fundamentals to bring in the new folks and get them up to speed. Because even after our first episode, we were like, wow, we're going to have to include a lingo or like definition or like slang section, just because we're realizing that we are so, like, everybody in this space is so deep into it.
Deep.
That we forget the steps it took to get there, and asking stuff like what is a difference between these exchanges? What is a wallet? Is Coinbase a wallet? Is Robinhood a wallet? It's like, no. All right, let's get people in. Let's get it going.
Yeah, it's shout out to Crypto Coffee, by the way. He's one of the best people I've seen be able to, I don't know what to call him. He's like in the most endearing way, the noob whisperer. Like, he knows how to talk. Like, somebody's like, oh, how do you buy HEX? How do you buy PulseChain? And it just like goes over my head. I'm like, I don't even, why is that question? And then I think about it, I'm like, I don't know, how do you do that? Like, I guess there is a few different ways. I just don't even think about it. It's so natural once you get in the ecosystem. You just click buttons and, you already know where everything is. But new people coming in, he does a really good job making all the, videos showing people how to do it, really speaking at the level of a new person. And I don't want that job. I want to stay as technical as I can. I want to have these like really deep conversations. But man, Coffee just does so many amazing thing. He'll just make a video about something. Man, that's so needed, like that particular video at that time. So shout out to Crypto Coffee. He's
Coffee is phenomenal, dude, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in Vegas in January and March, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, he does a very important job, which is being able to speak both levels, which is high level and low level, and just putting the effort out there, making the onboarding videos like, hey, here's Rabby Wallet, here's MetaMask, here's how you do it. Oh, you want to learn how to stake on PulseX? Here are literally all of the steps. We'll walk you through it. You want to get out? Literally just go right through the opposite. That stuff is very important to growing the community in my mind, because that is the onboarding and the learning. That is when people say these days, like, oh, you have a question, just go YouTube it. And some guy will show you how to pull spark plugs on your 2007 Nissan Frontier or whatever.
That's a picture in ChatGPT now.
Yeah, but I think the video aspect is still very important. And especially for the crypto stuff, I think the Hexagon PulseChain community has the most entry-level, base-level video stuff out there, and it's very high quality too. One of the things going on right now that I'm watching is the Phantom Network just launched Sonic. So people are trying to figure out how to bridge their Phantom over to Sonic and do the swap. Good luck trying to find a good video explaining that. It just doesn't really exist, because the community outside of our community doesn't really exist on other chains. There's like maybe Bitcoin and Ethereum maxis and probably some Solana bros that are more interested in trading meme coins, but like actually like walking people through the steps of like, hey, here's the PulseChain bridge. Here's how to get there step by step. That stuff's far and few between. And even then, it might not even be the best stuff. So as far as onboarding, yeah, people like Crypto Coffee, chef's kiss, absolutely 10 out of 10.
Invaluable, man. Invaluable. There's so many people like that in the community, but for new people stuff, like chat, give me a name. Give me a good, for someone who's really smart and knows how to talk to people. They're very deep into, a topic, but they know how to talk to new people really well. Is that pleb whisper, noob whisper? I don't know what to call it.
I think
it's
the
just
word
like
you're looking for is just teacher or onboarder.
Teacher, onboarder. Like, yeah, how can I say it in like to make a very reputable like description of like how he works in the video and the content he creates. It's just amazing. So shout out to Crypto Coffee.
Another person that I guess some other folks that do that well, obviously Miguel. I know he's publicly stated he wants to be the #1 onboarder in all of Hexaco. Corey Geary is also doing fantastic work down in Puerto Rico, getting all of the real estate bros into it. He does phenomenal work as well. Shoot, who else? Oh man.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of, well, if you go to Go Real DeFi and click on onboarding, yeah, if you click on onboarding, I've actually posted, so there's a whole onboarding playlist, but also I put a lot of great introduction videos to Hex and stuff. I think Hodl Dog, a lot of other people have made before, even if they're 1, 2, 3 years old and stuff, have made a lot of great content. So there's a lot of good ones. Yeah. Hex Explained. Hex Explained, is that his name? Crypto Hex Explained. Yeah.
We also got an excellent comment from Crypto Class. How could we forget Dr. Tooth Slayer himself? Crypto Slayer.
Yes. The resident doctor. We have resident lawyer, former attorney. We have a dentist. We have, I mean, pretty much every walk of life you could think of, every age group, every profession. We got him. We got him here. We even got a Chad of House Donner Swans. He's or House Donner, as he likes to shorten it. We have people with 18 packs. I think that's at least 18 pack, 369 pack. I don't know how you describe that, but those abs and that moon, it's a dream. It's a dream. We all aspire to be that ripped, and our bags to be that ripped as well. What else? Fox Monitor. RHMax is Zenith. Are you speaking during the HEX conference, January 6th and 9th? I have signed up. Zenith.
I have also signed up. I requested a handful of topics, but I think my specialty now is keeping up with the legal stuff. So I have requested to speak on legal topics. And there's some interesting stuff going on right now that I'm still brushing up on. So I should be all prepped for the HEX conference. Whatever day Maddie chooses to have me. I'm always honored to speak at that thing. It's a huge event, and it's just a great celebration in the community, and just at times just get everybody hyped, honestly.
That's basically my answer as well. Couldn't say it better. No decision on motion to dismiss in 2024. It's a bummer. Speaking of legal, what are your thoughts on that?
That one does irk me a little bit. I was hoping that we'd have something before the end of the year, but it sounds like we have the classic government case of November and December are wastes of months, which is that anything
Yes.
only stuff happens in like the first 2 weeks of November, and then after that we obviously have the Thanksgiving break here in the U.S. And then that there's like 1 week of productivity, which is like the first week of December. But even then, you still have to get people out of the turkey coma and back to the office. But then after that, they're immediately just thinking about Christmas plans and going somewhere for all the holiday stuff. So
Apparently, they're
classic case
killing
of
remote work for federal workers, so not to worry about that too much.
yeah.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I guess unfortunately, if you're a federal worker right now, you're like, I like doing that. I don't like to commute, which nobody does, right?
Yeah. As far as no motion to dismiss in 2024, is it a bummer? Yes, absolutely. Were we hoping something within 2 months of the actual hearing? Also, yes, because the hearing happened on October 31st. Literally 2 months is like today. So sucks. I
Well,
guess 60 days technically would be yesterday.
We have a few hours, so don't worry.
We have a few hours, but at the same time, I'm not going to.
Yeah. I'm totally
that would be a very, there's like the classic saying that like news released on a Friday is put there to go die over the weekend. I wonder if they might be doing the same thing with news on New Year's Eve, which is like everyone is focused on other stuff, and there's something you kind of just want to like slip in there. Might be a good time to do so.
Yeah, maybe. Not hold my breath, but I don't know. I'm totally unfazed. I didn't think it was going to happen in December, anyways. I knew the holidays were slowing them down, and with new administration and stuff too. I was like, I think this thing's definitely going to be. I would be surprised if we don't hear anything in January. I would say if we're in February and we never haven't heard anything, I'm like, okay, like beginning of February. I don't know, but we got 4 more weeks, right? 4 more weeks.
True.
Until it becomes unreasonable.
I guess I have 2 final thoughts on this one, which is that I personally think the motion to dismiss is very strong, considering laying out the timeline, even the SEC starting to rescind their own stuff about the HEX portion, and also the judge's line of questioning for it. Additionally, since the hearing, we've had 2 rulings come out of the Fifth Circuit Court very much in favor of crypto and very much against the regulatory state, shall we say. And again, that's largely due to Chevron deference being that happened earlier in the year. I'm going to keep screaming this from the mountaintops, which is that Chevron deference is going to be the key to winning a lot of battles against the almost overbearing regulatory state, it seems, and then also unelected bureaucrats interpreting their law however they see fit. That's going to be a big case for it. So what that leads me to believe is that we already have Gary Gensler's resignation letter, but I do still anticipate there are going to be some parting shots, which is, it's like the classic presidential parting stuff that happens like literally at 11:59 p.m. the day before they change office or whatever, that kind of stuff. I would not be surprised if Gary Gensler's team releases some odd things the day before he's supposed to step down, which is also the day before Trump is inaugurated. At that point, we're going to have a change in administration, and we should see some stuff. We should see some changes. As far as the legal cases go, it's been publicly stated that the alleged new head of the SEC, I think it's Paul Atkins, he's speculated, or at least speculated through sources, which is still just unconfirmed reporting, so please take this with a giant grain of salt. But the approach to the legal standpoint for his SEC is going to be a reevaluation of all the open cases, trying to resolve ones in a fair manner, if it is possible, or if it is untenable, they might just rescind any of the stuff and just try to keep moving on with business. But if there are still cases that are worthwhile in their opinion, they are going to continue to pursue them. In my personal opinion, I think that the Richard Hart case falls into that we should probably try to hammer something out, but at the same time, it's been very clear that Richard Hart does not want to come to an agreement or settlement. It's that Richard Hart is trying to win this at this point, and I think he has a very good shot, and I think that kind of attitude and that kind of will and money backing the case is going to be something that really backs the SEC down, because there are much worse bad actors to go after, and there's going to be a lot of other cases to also take into consideration at the same time.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if we get a full dismissal. It almost seems like it's one of those things where I think about it and I'm like, it almost seems too good to be true. But when I see the motion to dismiss and just the artwork that has been into the legal process from his attorneys and the strong obvious case we have in front of us, you don't have to be, you can be objective and look at this and be like, yeah, that's a pretty good case. Part of me is like, it seems like a dream, and the other part of me is like, it seems so obvious at the same time. So it's like, I would not be surprised at all if it gets a full dismissal you guys don't have jurisdiction. It's over. Crypto is like we're going a different direction. In general, the sentiment, the feeling, the any kind of inkling of sway one way or another is going to be on the side of crypto going forward with this administration, it seems. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. It seems like it's like one of those things. It's like a dream, but also not shocking if it happens. So okay, a shot.
Yeah, I think Paul Atkins is a very pro crypto appointee for this. And to be honest, I don't think it's too good to be true. I think that this is it's another data point in an already going on trend. The two cases I mentioned at the Fifth Circuit Court, the last one we got was a literal win for Tornado Cash of all things. Granted, the court said, yes, this is a tool that can be used by nefarious purposes and appears to be done so much. But the point is, if you want to regulate this kind of thing, you got to write new, better laws. And that is one of the key points of the Richard Hart case, which is that if you want to regulate these things as you are trying to, you have to write better laws to apply to it. So in my opinion, it's just a continuation of trend. So it's very much inside the realm of possibility. I know that I think it's just the bear market affecting us, which is like, everything seems too good to be true. But guess what? Bull market's full swing. I think the pendulum is shifting legally, and I think we have a very good case for a lot of pro-crypto legislation and court results coming out.
It's one of those, yeah, it's kind of like the feelings of getting beat down the bear market, where you think every single piece of good news that you may think or may seem to be coming true isn't going to happen. It's just going to be another disappointment. Maybe this is the time where it's like, you know what? The market has decided. There's a change. The change is here, and the sentiment is pro-crypto. So all these things you thought were impossible because you've been disappointed in the bear market. Well, this is a new market. Maybe.
That's true. Tell you what, I want to use this as a bit of a transition. So we didn't get the Richard Hart dismissal in 2024. It might come in 2025. So what else are we looking forward to in 2025? What are you looking forward to, my man?
Yeah. Well, I think, the dismissal, I've hopefully in January, I'll see that happen. Again, I don't think it's that far-fetched. I think we already talked about a lot of the meat of the feelings and sentiment and stuff, but just it would be that storybook, like, oh yeah, of course it's going to happen because that's when everything starts to go to the moon. 2025, the cycle, 4-year cycle. There's so many pieces that could be aligned for this where it just makes a lot of sense. So not saying it's going to happen. I totally could see that happen. That's totally a positive thing that could happen for PulseChain and HEX and Richard and him coming back to streaming, which is another key thing. Like, what was your take on the empty throne background or thumbnail? Because somebody mentioned, I didn't even notice it at first. And somebody mentioned, I was like, that is pretty ominous. That is pretty like, whoa, does this mean that if SEC gets dismissed, like we're literally getting a, hey, I'm back tweet, or how's everything going? How's everyone doing out there tweet? I'll be live in 2 hours. Like, is X going to explode, man, when that happens? Like, is it literally going to, how many views? I talked about that. I've asked before, how many live stream viewers at one point? I'm doing 10 to 15K minimum. And how many views you think that first live stream will get? I want to say 1 million. I'm going for 1 million. I'm going for it.
His Merry Christmas video is sitting at 55,000 views on YouTube right now. His last live.
We're getting a 20x. We're getting a 20x on that.
I could see 250K. Maybe. Or sorry,
250K
like total views. 250.
You think it? So you think a 5x? I want to. Okay, maybe I'm trying to settle myself. Don't get in a hoping territory. But I want to see 1 million views on his first live stream back. I want to see 1 million views. And I think it won't just be our community watching it. It'll be other communities as well. I think that's the game changer. It won't just be us. It'll be a lot of people having eyes on this.
That's what I'm thinking as well. I know we always have the great debate about whether or not the outrage marketing has been good, but I think that it has been effective at what it was designed to do, which is catch eyeballs. And as a result, Richard Hart's first stream back, it's going to catch a lot of eyeballs, especially since there's been a lot of mystery and a lot of questions regarding Richard Hart, and he's absolutely done the where in the world is Carmen Sandiego routine right now. And I will say that it is back in the tinfoil hat territory, but the empty throne stream didn't see his face, didn't see what he looks like. So the theory that Richard Hart has just been out there getting jacked and shredded this entire time still remains alive.
Oh man, I want to see it. It's like we're trying to tell from his voice. Does he sound strong? Does he sound like he's been pumping iron? Man, I hope so. I don't care what he looks like. I just want him to come back, and he could be 50 pounds heavier. I mean, I prefer him to be. That doesn't sound exactly healthy to me. If he's 50 pounds from what the last time we seen him as, but if he's 50 pounds lighter and he's put on some muscle, I don't know. He's already pretty strong. I don't want to pull up the deadlift video, but that was boy. In 2020, he was benching some stuff.
That's true.
What else? What else? 2025 you think? Yeah.
In case Richard Hart is watching this, by the way, thank you for the massive shout out. He gave myself, Will, and SJ a shout out in the video for rereading all of the trial proceeding.
That's right.
Recordings. So that I was kind of blown away by that. I was like, oh shoot, this guy's like seen me doing video stuff.
SJ gets all the credit all the time. No, she deserves it. SJ's awesome, and yeah, you guys too. I mean, I've told you all several times that I really always love to see people reading Scivive. Doing just reading books. You know what? I'm long on people reading books. How about that? I like knowledge transfer. I like sharing. I like sharing information, and it just seems like a good thing to do to discuss and read sources of wisdom. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
You're talking to the guy that runs a weekly book club, so I'm right there with you. And in 2025, I tell you this, I think I'm scheduled to read more books probably this year than, as it goes right now, we're probably doing 50 books. I'm probably going to be doing more because I even had some of my personal friends who wanted to get into some like philosophy and historical literature, like building up to the founding of the United States. So right now I'm also listening to the Iliad and Odyssey to get that Greek, and then we're eventually going to work to Rome. And it's like books are on the menu right now, my man. And
man, I've been listening to a lot of Mark Andreessen podcasts. He's been everywhere lately, and I never really was into it. I never was into because he's from A16Z, right? I think he's one of the guys. They have a podcast. I never was into it that much, but anyways, he recommended Atlas Shrugged recently, and he's like, he was talking about, all my friends told me to read it, and he did the audiobook, and he's like, I'll listen to, couldn't stop listening to different pieces, and he talked about how all these things, and then I went to do the audiobook, and it says 62 hours. I was like, oh my God. I still went for it. I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna try, but man, that's a long time to listen to a book. It's a big book.
Oh yeah. I haven't read that one yet. It's on the docket, but I was also told that one is also in a similar vein to the Gulag Archipelago, which I think is a 3-part series.
I heard Jordan Peterson talk about that one a lot.
Yeah, both of those book series have been described as very brutalist, not just in what it talks about, but also the description of trying to get through them. And I think one of the best descriptions someone's given me for it is, it's like, I don't know what good in the world is, but I know what evil is, and it's described in these books.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Mark Andreessen, he sold me on. Shout out to Mark Andreessen, by the way. I really enjoyed a lot of the podcast. You've been on several hours of you speak and say some very smart things. He was talking about how like the president in the book is like just a non-factor, like not even a character. It's like it's totally like that piece and all the other characters. He just said there was a lot of interesting story behind each one and how it described the world so well and capitalism. And of course, it's like it sounded like a pro-capitalism, libertarian, like all these different descriptions of a world where these things exist and manifest and probably have all these issues and problems and stuff too. So very excited to start an hour or two and see if I can do 60 more. We'll see. I mean, I like my audio books, but man, it's got to be good for that, which it may be.
Well, here's a question. What speed do you listen to the audiobooks on?
I can't turn it up. I got to be regular. I got to go just 1x. I cannot turn it because sometimes I'll be listening and I'll need to rewind to hear it again because I really want to understand the point. And I don't think it's an IQ deficiency. I don't think that's it. I think just some people, like, they just they can listen to things quickly and consume the ideals, or maybe you don't care about the ideals as much. And it's just, you want to hear the themes and you want to continue and kind of tie those together later when you think about it. But for me, when I'm listening to something, in the moment, I want to connect with the ideal and make sure I understand it before I go on. So I'm not always able to do that, especially if I'm taking a run or I'm just like passively listening to it. In other ways, I'll probably skip through some pieces, but I really try not to miss things. So when I speed things up, to me, it's just an opportunity to miss more stuff, and I prefer not to. So I never listen to things on fast speed. If anything, I almost want to slow them down, but then it would just take so much longer. So anyways, different ways of consuming content, I guess.
That's fair. I guess I'll hit one final point before we get to this chat you brought up.
Yeah.
We recently covered Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's the same author that wrote Think and Grow Rich. He was a guy that's kind of like a student or talked to, the guy that wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie.
Carnegie, yep.
Yeah, he's a guy that worked under him. And then Outwitting the Devil was the absolute sleeper hit of 2024 for me. That is a phenomenal book. And if you listen to the Audible version, the voice actors are phenomenal. As part of the book, he does a theoretical conversation with the devil, and the guy that like plays the devil does like just beautiful job doing the voice acting.
Wow.
And it feels like a drama in your ears. It's perfect, and the ideas that they talk about are top notch as well. Highly recommend that one. And shout out to Moonpilled Rational Optics. He was the one that recommended it to us, and it was worth every second. Loved it.
I don't think I've did the audio version of that one yet, but I definitely have it on my radar as far as the Dale Carnegie books. A good reading. Have you listened to Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins, and just David Goggins, but the audio version of that, they actually pause from time to time, and him and maybe the co-author of the book or the editor or something. So he actually pauses every few chapters or so and riffs with another person during the audio conversation. So it's like you get even more than the book. You get like their additional thoughts and commentary on it. I thought that was pretty cool. So
that's perfect.
Yeah, certain books like that, if you got a good voice and you got especially different voice actors and stuff, which is pretty rare, that's pretty cool.
True.
I'm gonna leave you with this one for a minute. You can start the riff. I need to be right back, but explore the idea of 1 cent pulse the best you can for a moment. I'll be right back.
Baby.
He's got to start this one on his own. We got to get Zenith his moment of zen real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good. New frequency, good to see you. I am unfamiliar. I think this is my first time seeing you in the chat. But the question, is 1 cent pulse possible? I think it's possible. I think it's definitely a high number for it. But let's go by the numbers. So all-time low of pulse, I believe, pulling up Deck Screener right now. Let me get this for you. Want to make sure my data is accurate. I believe our all-time low was 0.000031. So let's see. We're going to pull up the old calculator. 0.01 divided by 0.000031. That is a 322x, I believe. Yeah. So the question comes down to this. Do you believe a 322x is possible? It also determines where you think it's going to come from. Do you think that the measuring point is PulseChain launch, which was about 0.001 or 1/100th of a penny itself? Based on the data that the research I've done for this one, the average performance of a good layer 1 chain in its first cycle is 100x baseline. So what that means is that theoretically we're going to get to about 1 or 3/10ths of a penny based on that. So the question there is, do you think it's going to go the rest of the way, which is an extra 3x effectively, to go from a 100x to, what did we say it was? 322? It's possible, especially, I think it's very possible, especially considering all of the fundamentals behind PulseChain and the ecosystem. Only possible detractors for this happening are going to be the following. PulseChain is unique because it's a new L1 that has 4 core tokens as opposed to 1, arguably 5, depending on how you consider EHEX into this equation. As a result of that, it means that the amount of capital injected into the markets could be dispersed over those 4. What that does is it's going to reduce the amount of money going into a single token itself. The way that the pumpamentals work, if you will, is that it's not based on money compared to market cap. It's based on money compared to liquidity, which is that instead of looking at market cap and the amount of money to get the market cap to a certain point, you got to look at the amount of money to get the liquidity dried up on one side of that liquidity pool to push that price up to the next higher high. If you have 1 token, it's a lot easier to do that. If you have a smaller market cap, it's a lot easier to do that. If you have 4 tokens that arguably have a large community behind it, these are 2 points that might make it more difficult to see massive X's. Is it going to be possible to do the 10,000X that Hex did initially? I think it's going to be very difficult to do it just based on those principles, which is that there's more money in the pot now, so the pool is larger. So it's going to take more energy to drive that to that higher level. Additionally, the 4 tokens, we have Pulse, PulseX, Hex, and Incentive Token. Typically, they've all been moving relatively with regard to one another in unison together. But as we've seen over the last like 2-3 months, Hex has really gone on its own run. And I think that's a very good signal because we saw Hex do it, we saw Incentive Token do it, and I think we're probably going to see PulseX do it sometime relatively soon. And there's a good chance that PulseChain, which is the base L1 token, might be the last one to do it. So overall, I think that the 1 cent PulseChain is a reasonable target. But again, I'm going to give it maybe like a 10% probability. It's still a very high target, but it's absolutely in the realm of reality, shall we say. And then we do have a comment here from from Fast Abdul. He says, Hex on Ethereum work to $1. Now that is, if you understood what I just said there, which I know this man does, because he runs his own, what do we call the 2Fox exchange? Is that an exchange? I think it's a DEX. It's a DEX and a staking provider.
Yeah, it's man, it's been a while since I had Fast on talk about it. I'm sure in the comments you'll tell us. It's not aggregator, is it? It's kind of a, oh man, it's based on
aggregate staking, I think is the best way to describe it, which is that you pool stuff together to combine as a single stake on a larger exchange, but your pooled efforts help create a bigger pool to get the rewards on the larger exchange. Anyways, the point of what he's saying here is our boy is going multiple layers deep on it. Excuse me. Thank you. Yield amplifier on top of a DEX. Beautiful. Mwah. All right.
Is it a balancer fork? Is that what it was? If I remember. All right, not that relevant at this point, but go ahead.
You're good. What he's saying though is he's not even saying EHEX. Not even EHEX is going to $1. Which EHEX going to $1, very much in the realm of possibility for me personally. But EPOW-HEX, Ethereum proof of work. Because remember, back in 2023, we had the fork or whatever, which is that Ethereum actually changed from proof of work to proof of stake. So Ethereum, as we all know it now, is the proof of stake method, where you have to have 32 Ethereum to become a staker, and then at that point, it's locked up for a certain amount of time. You yield on it as single-sided staking. But the Ethereum proof of work network is still absolutely valid. And one of the lessons that I learned from Axis Live is like, if there is a token with any reasonable amount of liquidity, people will trade it and people will try to make money on it. Ethereum Classic did something in the past. Ethereum proof of work, I think, has a chance of doing something as well. So keep track of your copies, folks, if you have copies on the proof of work network, which include Hex. So he's not crazy in saying that stuff like Hex Ethereum proof of work Hex might have a run up to $1. That's not crazy. Granted, the amount of people that are going to be able to withdraw a certain amount of liquidity when it hits $1, that's going to be a lot smaller. But the reason that I think there's a kernel of truth to this is that this is the liquidity lesson. How many people know that they have Hex on Ethereum proof of work stake or network copy, whatever you want to call it?
5 more people now.
There you go, exactly. But the point is that the liquidity is low, which means the amount of money injected into it to get it to pump hard is going to be a lot lower. So theoretically, it sounds crazy. Hear me out. Ethereum proof of work Hex probably has the ability to pump harder than EHEX. EHEX has the ability to pump harder than PHEX based on liquidity alone. Overall hype, though, I would not be surprised if PHEX remains the overall winner. And we get the classic, the market has decided.
The market has decided that PulseChain is going to win 2025, maybe. Or has it decided that Hex on ETH Fair is going to $17? Shout out to all the Ethereum forks around that time. That was fun to see how it played out. But it seemed like proof of stake Ethereum seems to be doing okay. ETH, what was the first one? ETH proof of, not ETHW, ETH Classic, but is it called something? It's just ETH Classic. ETCC. ETHC, there you go. It was still a thing, still around. I think it got 51% attacked like a year or two ago, funny enough. Like, not funny for people who lost money, but funny is like, that happens sometimes.
True. I just remember Axis walking me through the chart. He's like, look, if you want to go by the data, technically there was a point when this was pumping harder than Ethereum was. It's like people will trade everything under the sun. Every token is going to have its time in the sun. That's a Charlie quote right there. You just got to be patient. You got to be in position, and you got to be aware.
Speaking of, let's continue on the 2025 conversation. To wrap it up too, this is a tweet put out. What I hope to be a perfect storm. What I would like to see happen again. Who knows what's going to happen? But SEC dismissed. Throw Interpol in there too if you like. RH returns. Face the franchise. Starts streaming. Starts talking more. All that stuff. I think he doesn't talk enough. Everyone's like, people say I don't talk a lot, even though I make these videos every once in a while and I tweet all the time. Got a good point. And then up on the market conditions, enable glory run for Hex PulseChain. What is glory? I had to pull in this the other day. I brought up yesterday's stream as well. But what does glory for you look like for this ecosystem? You could talk about price. You can talk about notoriety. You can talk about Richard was right. You could talk about ending sadness in the community, like whatever vertical you want to go down. What does glory mean to you for this?
I'll try to use sources, which is mainly just what I remember Richard Hart saying, which is that he's in it for the glory at this point. Richard Hart has already been independently wealthy. He's not trying to get rich off this. Probably will be rich off this if it works out well. But he's talked about he wants to have the best chart. He wants to have the best tech. He wants to have the best community. So as far as the chart goes, I think he's hoping that Hex can do another 10,000x. So that is probably glory on that front, which Hex doing a 10,000x, my gosh, I think we're looking at, let's do the math actually. Where's that? Where you at? GoPulse.com. Shout out to those guys, by the way. I can't remember.
3, 2, 1. Quick maths. Yes.
Boom. Quick maths. All right. 36 hundredths of a penny. So 10,000 times 0.0036. $36 Hex. If Hex hits $36, good Lord, I will never have to work another day in my life. And like, please let it be so.
Well, assuming there's liquidity, we you would assume at that price that maybe that's a good conversation too. The assumption that a high Hex price or high price of any of these coins that goes up that much and does that many returns kind of is implicit. The premise is implicit there will be enough to exit, for at least a lot of people if they wish to at that time. Because how would it go up that much and not have enough people trading in their other coin that has value for such a thing? So, a lot of times you'll see coins launch, maybe price goes up a lot, but there's not a lot of liquidity there. With Hex and the huge community and the massive price run that it would happen with that, I don't see, I'd be shocked if that was a problem for there to be, I don't know. What do you think? Hex $36. I don't know if I'm sure there's some math to do on this too, but that's got to be like tens of millions of dollars liquidity. That's got to be 100 million. Like it's got to be somewhere through there. Hex is $36.
I personally don't think Hex is going to get to $36, but that would be absolutely wild.
But if you do, you don't think it'll be a problem for people to actually extract value. I guess that's the point.
I think it's a little naive to believe that you personally are going to hit that 10,000x, because realistically, probably what's going to happen is it might wick up to it and then immediately like boop. So one of the personal goals that I have for 2025, top of the bull run, is I want to capture. I'm doing the Pareto principle here. I want the 80-20. I want to make sure I capture 80% of the gains minimum, because I don't expect to hit the exact top on a lot of stuff, but to the day. That's patently absurd, in my personal opinion, unless you are making the top yourself, which I am not in a position to make the top, believe me. To answer Tam's question real quick, what if we go to 1,000,000x? 10,000x to 1,000,000x would be $3,600, I believe.
Per Hex.
Quick math. Oof. Per Hex. Per P-Hex. P-Hex, by the way.
I believe I can fly.
I know, right? Here's okay, so we answered one question. That's the best chart. Theoretically, Hex does another 10,000x. That's the glory. Absolute, like, top, peak, 3, 4, 5, 6 standard deviations out from the mean. The community, or actually, let's go for best founder. That would mean that I think Richard Hart wins all of the legal stuff, which means Richard Hart beats Interpol, Richard Hart beats the SEC, Richard Hart beats any crazy allegations that he's a scammer anymore, because so many people, he's done it. The other thing he's talked about for the community aspect, he wants to make 1 million millionaires. That is a lot. I believe that is $1 million is $1 trillion in the hands of the Hex community. That is what that means, or at least the paper net worth valuation. If you do it that way, that's the easy way to get there. So, millionaires, community glory. 10,000x on Hex, the chart glory. Founder glory is probably winning all the legal cases going on, and kind of I think he wants to hear people say that they were wrong when it comes to all the stuff that he's previously become kind of like screwed out of a little bit. I can't remember the exact details. RG3 would know what I'm talking about here.
Say thank you. Say thank you.
Exactly. Just say thank you. I think he would be very happy with that. So there you go. That's the glory for me, or my interpretation of the glory here.
Yeah, I think one of the, almost not what do you call it, ancillary pieces of it would be, just people are just like, hey, if Hex goes to $1, it goes to $5, it goes to whatever, you can't call it a scam. You can't do it. It already went to 55 cents. And if you were yelling scam then, you've hit the threshold of what you can do. If it goes down 97% and goes back to $1, you can't keep calling it a scam. It's impossible. Like, no one who takes anyone seriously if that was able to happen. So one of the coolest things is kind of just like a side effect of, the price glory run, for example, and the community just really, being on top of the world with this, and holders getting rewarded, stakers, all that stuff too, is just the ability to never be, what's the word for it? Be immune to a scam label. I want to be immune. Like, I think we deserve that. I think it's been went through too much to still just be, pushed to the side. So I think that would be a really cool effect. It wouldn't be the main thing on everyone's mind, but it would be a really cool, ancillary glory piece to it. I'd like that.
Agreed. Makes sense. We do have a good comment here from Fast Abdul if you want to hit this real quick.
Is it the what do you think of Eris dissing paid groups and conferences? Yeah, take it away.
I can't remember if this is if it's 15 Ways to Change the World or Scivive, or if I'm just confusing this with another book. But I'm pretty sure that Richard Hart actually said paying to learn skills is reasonable. But if you're paying more than realistically $1,000 to go to a conference, you are the product and you're just getting milked. I can't remember if that was a Richard Hart book or if another one I'm crossing wires with. But based on the stuff that Richard Hart has talked about, conferences for the sake of charging a high ticket fee in order to generate revenue, I think Richard Hart would absolutely be against. I think learning new skills and paying to learn new skills from mentors that are worthwhile, who have done it a bit and are able to optimize your time and give you that shortcut to the fast lane and give you the sauce, if you will, absolutely in favor of that. Paid groups, I think that one probably is. Yeah, paid groups it depends on what it's for. If you're doing a paid group, in my personal opinion, like the Citadel over that Charlie and Miguel run, I think the way that they run it is it's people trying to get in a group with like-minded individuals that are in the same financial position, so you all have the same context about you and how you're investing and stuff. Plus, they also give you literal benefit for if you want to take their course every year as a refresher, because those boys have the sauce. They have insider knowledge when it comes, not insider trading knowledge, but they know people. They are up to date on all the trends going on. It's worthwhile. That is a value exchange. That kind of thing works. If you're paying to get into a group that gives you trading plays to make to the minute, I think that RH is probably correct on not advising people to do that. If anything, that seems like a scam personally.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his tweets too they're so general. He speaks so generally about this stuff. It's I mean, of course, there's better and worse versions of everything in the world. But yeah, I don't know, maybe something you made me think of when you said, if you're paying for trading, instant trading advice groups or something. Again, I don't have a dog in this fight for any of these things. I don't have a strong opinion that I care to share very much anyways, but it seems maybe a good mental model here is the things that are less worth your time and money and stuff are maybe something to do with vices, right? Something to do with, if you're paying for a thing to teach you how to do something that historically has been not profitable for most people. Maybe that's the thing to avoid. Maybe that's a way to look at it, and that's the difference between, if you're paying for a class about staking versus paying for a class about trading, for example. Again, there's plenty of good traders out there and plenty of good groups and information and teachers and things like that too. But there's also plenty of people who lost tons of money that are trying to take shortcuts, or think they're going to learn a skill that's really hard to do and do it in a short period of time, when people for years and years with more resources are the ones that usually win at. So again, nothing against trading or anything else that people are into, but it's one of those. It's so easy to be like, oh, I can do it if I just even if you put enough time and effort into it. Do you want? I don't know. I think there's something interesting about choosing the way you win, and I don't know. There's definitely different risk profiles and stuff, but it's that ability to feel like you can do anything, which is really cool and motivating and powerful in a lot of ways, but also can also get you into things that and maybe you're probably just not going to be successful at, and there's other ways of doing it. You just need to look or take a different direction in. So anyways, I think the mental model for me around that is, if you're paying for things that are going to, there's a different scale.
It's understand the value proposition.
Yeah.
Are you paying a reasonable amount for the value that you believe that you are going to receive? You can pull an Alex Hormozy thing, which is the value proposition, which is your dream outcome, the perception, the probability you're going to receive your dream outcome, divided by the amount of money you have to put in and the amount of time or effort you have to put in. The outcome of that is the value. If you think the value's there, good probability. If you think the value's not there for some reason, it might not be there. As far as maybe hitting this, what I hope is a softball question out of the park, though, when it comes to conferences, I can tell you there are some conferences that I think RH would absolutely approve of. That includes free virtual conferences like, I don't know, the HEX conference, the PulseChain conference run by our friend Matty Allen. Those are great ways to bring everyone together, talk about ideas, and guess what? It's free. You just view it on Twitter, YouTube, whatever you want. And then additionally, IRL conferences that you're pretty much just paying the ticket price to make sure that no one's just losing a ton of money on it, like PulseChain Tour or any of the meetups that RH has done himself in person in Europe that you can see video evidence of on The Highest of Stakes, the documentary movie. It's there. It really is there. So meeting people to hang out, party, talk, swap ideas, that stuff's perfect. PulseChain conference, I don't know, like doing the crypto mindset meetup stuff here coming up in January. I would imagine that these are all very much RH approved because they're really not profit driven. They're just trying to cover costs, and they're trying to build the community, build hype, and build support for these ideas that we think are pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it also reminds me of the Naval quote. There's two types of fools in the world. One that take religion literally, and the other that thinks it has no value. It kind of reminds me of this. Like, there is this scale. There is this, hey, depending on the value you get from it, maybe certain things are in your best interest to do, and other things not. And then again, also, if you're paying for something to make you really good at something that a lot of people lose at because you think it's going to make you a winner, that's it's may not always work out. So yeah, I definitely think that, and it's also easy to criticize other people doing things when you're not involved or participating in stuff either. It's easy to be like, oh, why do I got to pay for this conference? Why is everything free? It's like, well, that's a very oversimplified version of the world. And it's also, I would hate to be disrespectful to anyone putting in a lot of work, especially in this community out there as well. So hopefully everyone can kind of put things into context and not take things so literally. It also reminds me of Peter Thiel talking about Trump. He's like, I don't take Trump literally, but I take him seriously. I think it's how you framed it too. Very, very powerful mental model from that. So
Definitely.
It's pretty good.
And for folks out there, I promise you, we're not just RH glazers. I mean, I have been very publicly on records talking about certain things that I think he's not great at. I think his writing style is a bit rudimentary, shall we say, considering the way he wrote Scivive and 15 Ways to Fix the World. I think there's good info in there, but I think that what he does best is crypto stuff, far and away. Sometimes it's very easy to get this.
Some people say he has the torque of an angel.
That's true. I've also seen him do some moves on a pole. I'll say that much. But the point
Oh,
is
God.
that it's the halo effect, which is that if someone is physically attractive or they appear to be an expert in one area, people automatically perceive that they might be an expert in all areas. It's like the reality is no. They're good at what they're good at, and everyone has things that they're not good at. So try not to misconstrue both of those. Still very much a
Yeah.
big fan of all the Richard Hart products when it comes to the crypto stuff. Absolutely. I think he's top notch there. When it comes to some of the other stuff, well, I do have my disagreements.
Yeah. And I mean, there's plenty of, I don't think I've ever started a talking point or conversation saying, this is true because RH said it. I've always taken it with a, first principles approach and being like, okay, what did he say? How did he say it? What was the context? What is my experience? Do I agree with it? It's not about, pretending you're smarter than him. It could also go the other way. If people say, oh, he's definitely wrong about this thing. How do you know he's definitely wrong about a thing? How do you know that you're right about a particular thing? So I think both of those sides of like not, just believing and saying everything he says without, critically evaluating it or applying first principles, but also not just saying, oh, this will never work because of this information that you probably don't have. Like, I feel like straying both of those lines is what I try to do to not, say stupid things or also just, misunderstand the point. A lot of things, again, he says things so generally sometimes, like this conversation or that tweet as well. It's not about what he says. It's not about like, it's the ideal behind it. It's like, again, it's not about literally all these things are bad. He may or may not hold that to be true. Again, you could totally argue that it's not. There's certain things that, you mentioned as well, but it's about the ideal to make you think about the theme and the again, mental model or whatever you gain from it from such a thing. So maybe you'd apply the same thing to Peter Thiel talked about Trump. It's, you don't have to take him literally all the time, but seriously. I think that's maybe a good way to look at it.
I mean, with Trump in particular, one of the ways I've heard people describe how to interpret the Trumpisms is he talks like a brash New Yorker from the 90s. He says, somebody pissed me off, I'm going to nuke him. He's like, is he actually going to launch a nuclear weapon at him? No, he's just saying he's frustrated, he's pissed off, and
Will Canada become the 51st state?
Yeah, exactly. It's not actually the state, but it's a funny sentiment because we do so much trade with them. Haha.
Welcome, Chihuahua, New Mexico. Not Mexico. New Mexico, Freudian slip. Welcome, Chihuahua, as the 52nd state. That is a province, right? I think Chihuahua. I didn't say that because it's the dog. That is actually a.
I believe it is. I think
it's the state of Mexico. Shout out to Mexico, by the way. Shout out to Mexico. Hope to work well with you in the coming administration and all kinds of fun stuff. Hope to vacation there at some point as well. Sure. Real quick, I want to get your initial thoughts on this meme. I've had it up here for a while. I thought it was funny, and I just wanted to show it to you and get your reaction.
We have Bitcoiners 2013, Silk Road, F the government, WikiLeaks, peer-to-peer cash. Bitcoiners in 2024, ETF, please. Sympathy daddy Trump. JP Morgan, please buy. Please allow self-custody.
Please allow self-custody had me rolling. I was like, oh, I got so, why do we even call it self-custody? Why do we even call it self-hosted wallets? That those words shouldn't even exist. Why do they even exist now?
It's just your wallet.
Exactly.
Oh, I can't remember. It might have been I think it was we were hanging out on the FN Hangout one night, and someone made a joke that was being a Bitcoin maxi in 2024 is this similar to being a Windows 98 maxi.
Maybe Windows like before Windows 10 maxi, I could see it. Windows 98 just doesn't have any features though, which plays perfectly into this example of what they would say. But Bitcoin doesn't have any features. Yeah.
So I guess here's my Bitcoin take here, which is that should we rely? It's similar to a lot of the PulseChain stuff we've already talked about. Does Bitcoin need an ETF? No, absolutely not. The fundamentals are a decentralized network, an anonymous founder, and the code is immutable, unchangeable. And it's already been going. It is the first in, best dressed, has the most buy-in behind it, largest market cap. All these things make it number one and give it the highest probability to last the test of time. All of these things, an ETF only attracts more people, only backs it up more. Doesn't change the fundamentals. It just gives you a new avenue to interact with it, which might be a little different than the DeFi fundamentals. Oh, sorry, my voice is mad low.
No, it was fine. I'm just very much zoomed in listening to you, I guess.
All right, we got a comment. RHMax says Zenith voice mad low. Sorry, boss. Yeah, Bitcoin fundamentals, very much there. Decentralized, anonymous founder, immutable code, first in, best dressed. This stuff here, trying to appease to a government for a decentralized authority, I think there's reason behind it. If you're asking traditional finance to buy up this thing, I think you are missing the boat and kind of missing the point a little bit. Will it pump everybody's bags? Yes, but the goal is that you want to get more people in before you get that, because once the big boys get in, it's going to be very difficult to compete with these people or even try to get your foot in the game after that. And then self-custody, guess what? You already had self-custody. It's just called your wallet.
But Zenith, you just want people to get into the product so you can sell and dump on their heads later on. Said every asset ever.
No, I think that Bitcoin was a fundamental change to the game, which is that it gave you a new way to transmit value in a way that was previously untenable. And it does it globally, instantaneously, well, near it. What is it, like 10-minute block times or something still? And it also is, it's immutable. It is what it is. There's no way to copy it. There's no way to inflate it. There's no way to have your government give you negative inflation, so you have to spend money before it remains there for too long. It is the thing that solves the money issue, which is that one of the greatest shitcoins ever has gone down 97 or 98% over its entire lifespan. And fun fact, that's the dollar, which is that the buying power of the dollar has gone down pretty much 90 or 98%. Something like Bitcoin, it's not inflatable by a government. It's not controllable by any singular entity. And as long as there are people validating the blockchain, which, by the way, there are satellites, you can do it through ham radio even if you're so crazy enough, there's always going to be a way to transmit it. And I'll say this, Bitcoin proved its worth when the Ukrainian conflict kicked off, because it was a way to transmit your value out of a soon-to-be war-torn country instantaneously, and it's not confiscatable unless you have your seed phrase. And then additionally, it's similar, like try to cross a border or go through TSA with like a giant gold brick or more than $10,000 cash. Fun fact, that's illegal. But this is a new way to transmit value. And I think that it solves one of the issues which we've been plagued with over the 20th century and now 21st century, which is inflationary fiat currencies. Argentina was a phenomenal example of this back when they inflated their currency like 90% overnight one day. And I think the US dollar, which has been the best form of currency for the last 100 years, effectively, also seeing massive, massive inflation as well, and depegging from the gold standard.
Shout out to Javier Milei, by the way.
I think he's doing good work down there. Afuera.
En fuego. Yes. Real quick, I got to get to this post too, because there was a question about EHEX and PX or all the stuff that I may get to if we have time as well. But there's two questions Uniswap can't answer. What is a woman? And why did you delist? Why did you delist HEX, but still out of trading of these other SEC targeted coins, which the SEC says is a security? As you look at this list, I'm going to scroll down real quick. Why do you think they keep doing this? Why don't they just hashtag free HEX? Why can't they just allow it? Why can't they just undo it? I mean, just click the button, just do the remove it, do the commit that removes it from the bad list. There's all kinds of people trading it in volume, and they did tweet like look at the MetaMask tweet of it. The top traded coins are I don't get it. At this point, why not just say, you know what? People want to trade this coin. Who are we to say what they can do? Why?
I mean, I think the fear of getting sued is probably the biggest one. A lot of these coins are a lot smaller than HEX, in my personal opinion, not based on market cap, but based on the perceived community or community outreach and potential outrage from getting delisted, which is that if you leave these up, are people going to notice? Probably not. Are people going to notice if you leave HEX up? Yeah, a lot of detractors, unfortunately. I think that's just, it's remnants from early days of HEX, early days of Richard Hart marketing, whatever you want to call it. But is it a double standard? Absolutely. Does it make sense? Nah, not really. Does it suck? Also, yes, but whatever.
Because Steven has an answer as well, because HEX invalidates the entire financial industry and these guys are puppets. Well, you know, I'm intellectually confused about how again, this can happen. Okay, 6 months, whatever. all right, we changed our mind because obviously the community has yelled enough and there's enough people want it and we want their fees and all this stuff. But I mean, some of these, again, the number of things have been SEC targeted. It doesn't even feel like they're even, yeah, you could say one point of, okay, they don't want to be sued or all that too. But I don't know. At this point, it just seems like they just don't want to. And as a private business or whatever, sure. But that also greatly conflicts the ethos of DeFi and something they keep saying they stand for. However, they don't want people trading certain coins that clearly are not scams.
It's one of the failure points right now with the way that the decentralized community works. Is that, are things decentralized? Yes, absolutely. However, at the end of the day, they're still open to what someone might call a wrench attack. It's not a digital attack, but it is if you can find out who owns a wallet, who owns an exchange, you can threaten their kneecaps with a wrench. That is one of the downsides of this. So if you are a person running a decentralized exchange, you are still a person. You are still somewhere on the planet, which means you are under somebody's jurisdiction. And theoretically, some sort of legal entity will have a claim over their pound of flesh, so to speak, and they believe that this sort of economic activity has value, which they're showing by trying to sue people, which is what I think it's of a bit of an oxymoron. It's people saying, oh, these are useless internet monies, but at the same time, we want our share, so give us some. It's a pressure that hopefully gets relieved eventually when there's a more clear legal landscape going on around decentralized exchanges. But as it stands right now, the landscape is there are certain entities that have jurisdiction over you and the things you make and the things you control, which might happen to be a decentralized exchange. Even as much as you shout to the high heavens, I have rescinded my admin keys. I no longer have control. They're still going to try to come after you because you're the last person to touch it. Many wrenches. I have many wrenches, but I can never find that 10 mil.
Shout out to wrenches and screwdrivers and all kinds of things, lock nuts, all that good stuff. Want to get a couple questions before we wrap up here too in a minute.
I was rich for about 1 month in 2024.
Speaking with the backdrop of this meme, what is? I guess maybe the preface this question with, if this happens, if you change 2024 to 2025, if there will be a lot of people who, again, with this question, are there things that you feel like would really help people get a mindset for crypto in order to not only be rich for 1 month in 2025 or 3 months or lose it all or in whatever way that is? Are there things that are just the most contrarian or just ineffective, like things you just cannot communicate to people, do you think, that would kind of reverse that or give them a better chance of doing better in 2025?
I hate to say it because I know there's going to be so many people, and I've talked to plenty of people that's already happened to. But I think that one of the ways you learn as a crypto investor is you got to get burned by that stove eventually. You got to write it up and you got to write it down. I've talked to many a coworker in my IRL life. They're like, oh yeah, I was in crypto back in 2020 and 2021. Like I was rich for a second and then I just watched it go all the way down. Just because the understanding of the crypto landscape, which is driven by, as it remains to this day, the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, until that trend breaks, I'm going to assume that trend is going to hold. Which means that, is 2025 going to be a good year, in my personal opinion? Absolutely yes. Should you be out of the market probably before the end of 2025? Based on the current theory, yeah, probably as well. Like, understand this space. Like, this is the place where we get 10,000x pumps and we get 99% dumps. It happens. It has happened for the last, oh gosh, how many years has Bitcoin been out? About 16 years?
But this time is different.
Okay, I'm willing to listen to that argument. But you got to answer the question, why? Why is it different this time? Why? I understand that eventually there's going to come a time when Bitcoin stops having, like, I think our last dump was 87%. There's going to be a time when it might only dump 50 or 30 or 20. But until then, you got to give me the why. And right now, the why as it stands, I think is a lot of time between here and there. The fundamentals have not changed. The code has remained the same. We're going to have a Bitcoin halving every 4 years, pretty much until I want to say it's like year 2140 is when the last Bitcoin, the 21 millionth Bitcoin, is going to be minted or sent into the wild. After that, we're just going to be collecting Bitcoin fees from the network and then maybe redistributing those to the validators at the time. But until that happens, the halving cycle is what we're sticking to. So yeah, There's going to be about a month there where you feel super, super rich, but you got to understand and you got to be able to choke those feelings down and actually cash out and claim it, or just understand that I will write it down, but as long as I keep DCAing in, if you're here for that 16, 20, 30-year plan, you're going to do well, in my personal opinion. Or if you're looking to buy low, sell high, and you actually have a good strategy and you have good conviction to execute it, that's going to be the key to success. If you're just buying high and selling low when you think it's dead and you don't understand that it will come back eventually, that's how you get washed.
If I just yell enough on Twitter about the new coin that I have conviction over this week, if I just do it, I won't round trip again over and over and over. I certainly hope not. I don't want to be on crypto Twitter forever. I told you all, if I buy an island, please do not give me any obligations. I've given you all I got. But yeah, I certainly hope that this cycle, a lot of people are able to make their dreams come true. And I have no expectations of anyone. I hope we're able to build this community up where the longevity of, no pun intended, I like longevity as well. Longevity becomes something that the new people coming in are able to make contributions and not just this be a pump and dump, fair weather top system. And you've seen that through the bear market. You've seen plenty of people, go back and forth, and some have left and some have taken breaks. And again, shout out to everyone out there. I want everyone to be the best version of themselves and make it through. And 2025 is literally knocking at our doorstep. So what's the phrase? Don't F this up. It's like the new trending thing. DFTU or something like that. I said it the other day. I'm like, I wonder if that'll like I've been trying different stuff for engagement on Twitter and stuff too. And like, I wonder if that'll get people who say that. I just learned about it the other day. Anyways,
not to beat this meme to death, but understand the dark side of this meme is that this man is exit liquidity. This man is the person that bought a month before the top of the market and held through it so that other people could sell. This is exit liquidity in a picture. Don't be that.
That looks like a Bud Light Platinum to me.
This is a good Bud Light Stars and Stripes right there. I can get behind that all day for sure.
Gosh, I got a question. Co-host Steven, how would you continue to maintain your pace through 2025, knowing that going slow is good for your health and well-being?
I think the only issue I'm going to take with this question is I think that going consistently is good for health and well-being. If you go slow but you don't go consistent, I think consistency is key here. You don't have to go super fast because otherwise you will injure yourself. You will burn out, especially with health and working out and stuff. Shin splints are a real thing. You can't go run a marathon on the first day. But maintaining pace, that's consistency, baby. Maintaining pace through 2025, it's understanding that we went through some real lows in 2022 and 2023, even a little bit of 2024 there. But at the same time, don't get too high on the highs. It's maintaining that pace, which is being consistent.
Yeah, and the thing I feel like I've been the most ineffective on is shouting from the rooftops about stop using Windows, use anything but Windows. If you come back to the security stream on Friday if you want me to hear me elaborate, but I'm pretty sure nobody cares. I'm just going to keep saying it. Probably nobody cares. But I'm going to keep saying it anyways because I believe it. Guy. It's my truth, Zenith. It's my truth. Before we wrap up, anything else you want to show? Any bullish, any bull stuff? This is a New Year's Mad Gains away to stream. Any bull things? Any bull things?
Bull things are that the 4-year cycle is in play. Nothing has changed. The trend is still staying consistent. So I think 2025 is going to be a good year. I think that this is a little bit of personal conjecture here, but I think that the business environment is going to become more stable and more optimistic once Trump gets into office and regulations are actually starting to roll back. If you've ever wanted to open a business, I anticipate that 2025 is going to be a very good year to do so. I imagine that the stock market is going to continue to go up. I imagine that conflict around the globe is going to reduce, there will still always be conflict because I personally think that's human nature. We live in a fallen world. Humans are not perfectible. That is my explanation for a lot of the ways that the world works. But at the same time, I think that the hyperinflationary environment that we've been in for the past probably decade at this point, to be honest, is that it could come to a close. Could be a whimper, could be a bang, who knows. At the same time though, please try to keep your heads and try to maintain some sort of consistency, and if you have a plan, stick to the plan until the data tells you and confirms you got to change plans. But as far as bull stuff going
Pray
on,
you have good data.
exactly. Always try to get more data. I think RH is going to have a good win. I think the motion to dismiss is going to happen. I think we're going to continue to get good legislation out of the courts, pulling back authority from the federal government and the regulatory state that is installed by the presidents at the time and very hard to get rid of. I think that businesses are going to do very well in 2025. I think that social cohesion should theoretically be going up, and I think that we might get a return to a little bit of normalcy. I'm not going to say full normalcy because I think we've crossed the Rubicon on some stuff. But overall, 2025 I think is going to be a banger of a year. 2026 is going to be a bear year, at least for crypto anyways. So please keep that in mind, and that's my personal prediction. Again, nothing here is financial advice. You are the one pushing the buttons out there, so do so at your own risk. But overall, things are stacking up. Business, legal, cultural, crypto, Richard Hart stuff. And we have an absolute banger of a schedule for 2025, in my personal opinion. We got HEX conference the second week or first full week of January. If you're part of the Moon Gang, I saw somebody out there saying W to the Citadel. There's Crypto Mindset Meetup in Vegas, Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. We have PulseChain Tour Vegas in March. And then after that, I'm sure we're going to be having a host of other stuff going on, whether it's just meetups locally, because you don't have to go to a big meetup. You just got to go find Hexicans around you and hang out. And then on top of that, we're going to have more PulseChain Tour events. We're going to have bull market top. People are going to be partying, popping bottles, the whole deal. So we have a lot of good things coming in 2025, and I'm very, very excited for it.
I'm excited, man. Like everything you said, it's just like there's so much build up momentum, hopefully pin up energy from, we haven't seen retail come in, others, BTC, all that stuff as well. Super, super fun times. I'm very excited for it. Real quick, if you don't mind, there's a few questions in the chat I haven't got to, but I would like to do a lightning round. Can we do like 30 seconds or less?
Time for you, Max.
All right, I appreciate that.
Yours.
30 seconds or less here. Here's the first one. I think we see PLS hit 1 cent this year.
Sorry, go for it. Hey guys, do you think we will see PulseChain hit 1 cent this year and I'm assuming it's PulseX at half a cent? Bring it on. What are your thoughts? We covered it earlier. I gave it a 10% chance that we're going to see PulseChain hit 1 cent, and I think that the ratio has typically been about 3.5 to 1 for PulseX to PulseChain. So if PulseChain hits 1 cent, I imagine that PulseX will hit probably like 0.2 of a penny. That's what I'm looking at, but the buy and burn could prove different. The ratios are subject to change, but based on the data I'm seeing, that 3.5 to 1 ratio is typically where that sits usually.
Next one, can HEX register as official religion?
It can. I think that, not to get on a soapbox here, but I think religion is a very human thing. I think that a financial currency is not qualified as a religion personally. However, if there are teachings of certain things that resonate with your life, it might help you be more productive, or at least produce offspring which will carry your ideals to another generation and perpetuate.
I did a blog on this. Is HEX a cult? TLDR. How much does it matter? Does it matter? Has it incentivized you to do good things? Has it made it profitable things for your life, your pocketbook, your cultures, your values and stuff? Since when did being loyal to a brand make you a cultist anyways? So what do you think PulseX buy burn will be by the end of 2025? I think it just hit 6% or so, 5 or 6%. What do you think it'll be? I think that's the context. What do you think it'll be by the end of 2025?
Yes, sir. We have 1.18 trillion PulseX burned. That is 5.88% of the existing supply, excluding the OA. If you include the OA, it's only 0.828%. But assuming the OA is going to continue to be the OA and not move anything, then yeah, I think there's a good chance that we're going to see increased activity. So let's at least double where we're at right now. And if not, I don't know if a full tripling is in play, but at least maybe like a 2.5. So 2.5 times, we'll just round it up to 6. That's about 15% of the supply is burned.
Because Stephen, I assume this is on the Mac, Linux, Windows discussion. While persistent and laptop brand that's not the most important thing. Most important thing would be, as far as laptop brand goes, OS. Again, if you have a Mac, it's going to be Mac hardware, Apple hardware, MacBook, iMac, all that stuff. Operating system, again, there's different ones. There's 1,000 different Linux distributions. It's about as many as there are tokens out there. There's a lot of popular ones that have advantages, disadvantages, plus for security, plus for regular users, all that stuff. But come to the or catch replay game for the security conversation. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more of the Linux stuff as well there.
I don't want to break your heart there, Max, but I actually still just use basic Windows. And then as far as I built my own personal PC.
And you're gone. Remove button, so tempting. No, it's okay. I mean, again, everyone can choose.
Zenith ended. Mac and Linux are my friend now.
I used to really like you. No, I think part of being a free world, living in a free society, we can make our own choices. So all I can do is shout from the rooftops to try to use something out of the windows, especially if doing crypto stuff, or, again, hardware wallets are one thing. So I'm not going to get into it right now. Friday is when I will get into this and speak my mind. But if you want a reason to switch from Windows, I have plenty of reasons to do that. If you don't, I wish you the best of luck either way. That's totally fine. I get it. Don't worry. Reminder, sign up to be speakers at HEX conference, influencers or otherwise. That's awesome. Yes, it's coming up in a few days. Yeah, 6th to the 9th. We're filming a PLS reality show. All right, in February.
Mr. Okay. Dolo, I am heading out to, as part of going to the Crypto Mindset meetup in Vegas in January, I'm going to be looking to shoot some promo material for the PulseChain tour in March while I'm there. I'm trying to go golfing and do a little bit of a preview thing for the PulseChain Tour Masters golf tournament happening on the 9th of March. So if you're interested in trying to meet up and doing something together, would love to work with you.
Boom. Content creators, all the stuff out there. It's 10% off, best discount PulseChain Tour. I've heard 10%. I haven't heard any bigger ones, are there?
There used to be bigger. If you got in before, I want to say it was September, you get 36.9% off. I believe there is still a existing 10% discount code. Although, if you use the best-selling discount code, which is discount code DEGEN, D-E-G-E-N, you might be able to get 20% off. Try it out. If it doesn't work, shoot me a message or just @ me on Twitter, and we can try to bully RG3 into opening that back up for folks.
Awesome. I think that's all we got tonight. Again, if you just joined Catch Replay Gang, this was an excellent stream. Mostly courtesy to Zenith. It's pretty good. It says some smart things every once in a while. I think we got good synergy. Synergy was through the roof. We brought that trillionaire synergy,
Whenever I hear the word synergy, I think of the old SNL video, Like a Boss.
Oh yeah. Promote synergy.
Hit on Deborah. Get rejected.
Meet a giant fish. Yeah, and if you want the rest of it, feel free to watch it.
Every day you turn into a jet and die. Hell yeah.
Man, that started the revolution of Lonely Island. Shout out to Lonely Island. You guys are hilarious. Shout out to Super Hex as well and everyone else. We got some Pulse Jiu-Jitsu in here. We got Rain Mac. You all have been great. Appreciate you all in the chat. Big things coming 2025. I do believe so. But that's all we got for you today. Zenith, where can people find out more about you and your roundtable of degens? And book club and broader show as well. Yeah.
All that stuff is over on Degen Roundtable. You can find us on YouTube or Twitter. That is where we broadcast the streams. On Fridays, we do book club. This upcoming week, we're doing The Curse of the High IQ by Aaron Clary. After that, on Sunday, we're going to have our flagship show where we talk about news, markets, any sort of stuff going on as well. And then on Wednesdays are our either community shows where we have Whiskey Wednesday, where you, the people, can come on, hang out, crack a beer with us, ask us anything you want. And then we also usually riff for the first hour with a guest or just on any topics of the week. And then sometimes we even have very special guests. Like this man right here actually was one of our special guests on a Wednesday show. Those are always a blast. As far as the new project, that is called Walk the Block, Navigating Digital Finance. You can find that one over on YouTube. And there is also a Twitter account for it. That one is less degen, designed to be shared with everyone, professionals, your grandma, and everyone in between. We're trying to appeal to people to onboard, the high-level technical folks. Everybody is welcome over there, and we're trying to onboard as many people as we possibly can in 2025, because guess what? Bull market's here. People are asking about it. I don't know about you. I got a handful of questions about crypto stuff during my my travels for Christmas so far. But yeah, that is what we got going on. And if you don't mind, I actually do have a quick bit of sauce for the folks at home, if you don't mind.
Are you going to show people how to use Windows and write their seed words down on a piece of paper?
Yes. So what you want to go do is find, what is it, program.
I'm sure you have some pretty good security advice. I imagine Zenith has acquired some wisdom over the years for sure.
There's also a weird correlation between, again, I go back to the military folks, which is that just being in the military, you get security briefings. A lot of that stuff for real world stuff absolutely applies to crypto stuff as well. Go look up the Swiss cheese method. Basically, you want to imagine that your security methods are pieces of Swiss cheese. They're not going to be perfect solutions, but because they all still have their own individual holes. But if you stack up enough of them, all the holes are going to get covered by another slice eventually. So here we go, lightning round. We just had a new day print on Bitcoin. If for anybody that knows Bob Lucas cycles, I believe that we are currently on day 58 of a Lucas cycle. We had a high on day 43 when we hit our all-time high of about $107,000, I want to say. Bitcoin drives the market based on Hart's law, which is liquidity bonding, if you will. Therefore, pay attention to Bitcoin, pay attention to the rest of the market because it drives it, and it has been up until this point for sure. Go look at the Bitcoin ETH or Bitcoin Solana charts, and that'll show you what has had the dominance. Outside of that, Bitcoin's looking like it might be finding a new low here in the first week of January. Again, nothing is financial advice, but I think that there might be the juiciest DCA potential in all of 2025 coming up in the next week. You can go check out the Church of Hex Telegram group. I did a whole deep dive in there, or check out the DGen Roundtable Telegram group, where I also did that as well. Outside of that, I do believe, actually, we'll go back to this one. I do believe that Ethereum is actually shaping up to be a little bit stronger than Bitcoin right now. And the data to suggest that is this, which is that the Ethereum ETFs are finally having inflows as opposed to this whole part of the year earlier, which was mainly outflows. If you look at Bitcoin, different story. So Bitcoin's looking a little weaker because this is the week that I'm talking about. The trend is currently outflows. So because of that, I think Ethereum might have its time in the sun finally. But I know no one cares about that. That's old tech. What you care about is this.
PulseChain.com.
Go pulse.com, baby. Or go realdefi.com if you want to actually access the tools.
I like that site. I like that.
Yeah, I think that we may have had our dead cat bounce, so to speak, right here. Yes. So is there potential for a little more downside? Yeah, there is. But at the same time, this wick is pretty massive. I think that shout out to Coach X of the Grays currency, I believe. He was the one that really pointed it out to me. He said, keep in mind, Ethereum, PulseChain moves closer to Ethereum than PulseChain moves to Bitcoin. So if Ethereum's going to move strong, good chance PulseChain might move strong because it's a literal fork. We are not below. We are still massively up on a lot of the. Wow.
Just keep clicking buttons. Just keep clicking until you see green.
I know, I'm trying. Off the all-time lows, though, this is where you get the real hopium. Incentive token, up 400%. PulseX, up 283%. PulseChain, up 66%. HEX, up 319%. Keep in mind, folks, the EHEX is also there as well. Don't sleep on it. So, there you go. My thesis right now is that expecting Bitcoin low within the next week. Ethereum's looking strong. We might have some good action in quarter one. PulseChain moves in accordance with Ethereum more than it does Bitcoin, but it still absolutely has its own ability to pump independently. So keep all that in mind. And remember that if Richard Hart does get that motion to dismiss granted, it's probably going to be a little bit of a moon time a little bit early.
Oh my God.
So.
Oh,
right, was that enough data? You want more data?
I think digestion, everyone's digestion system in the brain. They're gonna have to watch this on 0.75x. Good stuff, man. Again, great stream. No, that was me. I appreciate the brain dump on the different data and stuff as well. That's all we got for everyone today.
Final thing is, don't sleep on hex stakes. Go check out Crispy Man and his streams. If you want to talk about hex stakes, don't think about hex stakes now. Think about what your T-shares are going to be at the end of it. So we're talking like 2035 and 2040 at this point. It's a lot easier to be a whale or a dolphin than you think it is if you look at T-shares.
If you don't know T-shares, you don't know hex. That's one way of looking at it as well. Everyone, that's all we got for you today. Happy New Year. May we all have the maddest of gains of 2025 and this community, crypto entirely, and freedom around the world. That's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.